Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday, brought to you by Idaho Public Television and Montana PBS.
Hey everybody, we're back. It's Tech Talk Tuesday. I'm Nikki from Montana PBS, and I'm here with my good friend
Carrie Wardle from Idaho Public Television.
And
I had to find the mute button.
This episode of Tech Talk Tuesday is all about Google Earth lessons, using Google Earth to provide virtual experiences for your students. And so I feel like it's been a long time since I was in a classroom on my own. It's been about 5 years now, but the last year I was teaching, I used Google Earth alongside reading a popular book by Lois Lowry called Number the Stars. And I used something called a Google Lit Trip. And it was a really cool thing that allowed my kids to use Google Earth to really get up close and personal with the setting of that story, which was the Netherlands, which we were never going to go on a field trip. But there were so many things in the book described within the setting, statues and parts of the town square in certain areas, and the characters traveled from one end of the country to the other, that going on that Google Lit Trip really helped them to see that setting in a more powerful way. So I was telling Carrie about Google Lit Trips, and she dug into them. And Carrie, do you want to talk about just the steps that one has to go through? It's not easy, right?
It's not easy, no. And it's interesting. I had heard of Google Lit Trips probably a couple of my final years teaching as well, though I had not had the chance to really look into them. And so I started checking them out here while I was preparing for this. And I'm going to share my screen because I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy, right? This is what we do. We're technology. I have a degree in technology, instructional technology, and I struggled a little bit with how this works. And in fact, Nikki had to get on and help me. So I wanted to show you. It's not quite as intuitive as one might think. This is the Google Lit Trips website. And really, if you just Google Lit Trips, you'll find it, but it's googlelittrips.org. So I came to this website, and of course my eyes instantly went here to this titles, and I did grades K through 5 because I taught 5th grade, so that's kind of always where I go. And started looking through, and I recognized some of these. I read Number the Stars. We read Bud Not Buddy, so I popped them up and started looking, and then was really confused because I didn't see any way you actually access the Lit Trip. And so I read the stuff, and I was kind of like, okay, well, so I looked at Number the Stars, and I just couldn't find any way to actually access the Lit Trip itself. So then I kind of started looking around again, and I noticed this member registration. So it occurred to me that maybe you have to be registered to access these. So, and you do. So I clicked on member registration. It's free. There was no cost for it. Filled out this quick form explaining what I do, and hit submit registration. Within minutes, I had an email that said, okay. And then interestingly enough, I thought maybe there would be some information, but it was literally just an email with one line that said, you are now a member of Google Lit Trips. That was it, nothing else. So I still came back to this website and was like, cool, now I'm a member, but there's nowhere to sign in. There's no, like, what, I don't understand. And so I went again back and thought, okay, I'm going to refresh. Maybe now that I'm a member, a link will appear. I just could not quite figure it out. But still nothing. Then all of a sudden I noticed right here, request access to Google Lit Trips, which is not very big. And I feel like it's not, I don't know. Look, I could just be that I'm not very smart, but I didn't instantly see that because I instantly went to wanting to search for a book that I knew of.
Yeah, it is buried. I mean, that's really small, and it's like this light green color. It's
not in bold.
It's not like a button or anything.
Right. There should be some sort of button or something. But anyway, it seriously probably took me 20 minutes to figure out that, because I just kept playing with it and trying to figure out, like, I don't understand. So finally I saw this link, and I went to Google Lit Store And this is where then it pops up and you can now use the email that you just registered with, and you can request any of the lit trips that were available on that other website. So I requested Number the Stars. And again, within just a few minutes, I received an email that then had a link to the lit trip. So let me pull up the actual lit trip for you. But we really kind of wanted to go through the process of finding it, because I promise if I struggled with it, somebody else probably is too. So it's great. And I think it's worth it in the end. And I looked at the Number of the Stars ones, but when Nikki and I got ready to do this, I really was like, I don't understand how you get a lit trip. And so it took a minute to figure it out. And so let me just quickly show you the lit trip. And once you actually get access to it, it's just a link. It links you right to Google Earth. Can you still see my screen, Nikki?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So it links you right to this Google Earth activity. My computer's being slow and taking a minute to load. But the great thing about this is it's already created for you, and it's based on the book. So as you're reading the book, it's things that they're talking about in the book. I love this for the geography connection as well, because kids, it helps them to picture where things are. So there's a couple of different things you can do here. You can look at each of the individual places that are pointed out here on the side. Or you can just hit present, and then you'll notice that it comes up and you navigate it similar to what you would like a Google slide deck, right? So you can then just go to each of the slides, and there it is again. See where it turns the earth and kind of shows kids geographically where that stuff takes place, which I think is pretty cool. And then you go to the next one and it zooms you in and lets you kind of see. And so you can walk through this whole lit trip, and there's some discussion questions in here, but this is a really cool way for, again, this is one of those things where you're not going to take kids to this. They're probably never going to have an opportunity to see this, in Copenhagen, Denmark, or places like this. And so this gives them a chance to really be able to look at it and see. So there's a couple of ways you could do this. Obviously, you could present it whole class. You could also copy and paste either this Google Earth link or the link that you're sent from in the email. You could paste that into your Google Classroom or whatever your learning management system is, and your students could go through this maybe after you've read the book, or maybe at the end of each chapter. I don't, however you want to work that. But there's multiple Google Lit trips, and I think it's cool, and they're for a lot of pretty popular titles. So I really just wanted to take a minute and show you kind of how the whole thing works, because it wasn't super intuitive. So
and it's changed. I think when I was in there 5 years ago, we were talking about you downloaded a file and you need the Google Earth software. And so now it's, I think, a little more user-friendly because it's web-based. And when I used it, it was really the only option I had was to project it on my Promethean board and have like a whole group teacher-led experience. And we had it up while I was reading aloud so they could kind of see the setting while I was reading, and that was useful. But I really like the idea of letting the kids explore this themselves, and maybe as they're rereading chapters or something, to go through and use those comprehension questions and taking it chapter by chapter. I think there's a lot of options, and I think we still have people learning at home and kids learning at home for various reasons, and so this would be a great thing to assign to explore, and like I said, brings that setting to the story alive in a way that I think nothing else can.
Yeah, I love that.
Along the same lines of the Google Lit Trip is this collection on PBS Learning Media, and it's the World Explorers Collection is what it's called. And then there's a section called the Google Earth Voyager Stories. And these were created a while ago. And I stumbled on them. We always did the unit of explorers in 5th grade when I taught 4th and 5th grade. And so I found these. We've got your early explorers, Marco Polo, and you've got your Vikings. And so I had my kids in groups. One group studied the Vikings, another group was studying explorers from Spain, another one was studying explorers from Italy. So they explored these to just get to know those explorers better. Of course, here in Montana, we love Lewis and Clark. You probably do in Idaho too.
Same in Idaho. Yep, we're Lewis and Clark fans.
Everything is named after Lewis or Clark or
Right.
Sacagawea or anybody there. And this is a great way to explore and look at their path, is that you can do a similar thing where you discover and it takes you on this guided Google Earth study. Here's where they start and who were they, and you can watch this video. This has got embedded with video, so you've got your Google Earth and you've got your video that's created by PBS, so you know that it's high quality and pretty engaging. So it starts in St. Charles, Missouri. We watch a video to set it all up, and then we go to the next location in Iowa. This one doesn't have a video, but it just has the going along, telling the story. And as you go, you take your students on the Lewis and Clark Trail and point out these significant areas. Although if you watch that too much, you could get a little seasick, huh? This one in Fort Mandan, North Dakota, we've got a video that goes with it. So again, these are on PBS Learning Media, which means you can assign them through Google Classroom, and kids could do these on their own or in small groups, or you could guide them on a tour within your classroom. So the PBS World Explorers collection has the individual videos. There's also some lesson plans in there, but then the Google Earth Voyager stories appear here on PBS Learning Media for free, and there's about 5 of them here. So a really nice way to use Google Earth alongside your social studies lessons as well.
And if you're super ambitious, you can create your own Google Earth tour map things. That's a lesson for another day, I think, because we love the pre-built content as much as we can get it. But
Yeah.
just letting people know that if you're ambitious and have some free time, you can also create your own if there's a unit that you're studying. So that's an option as well.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, that's our Google Earth experiences. We hope that those were fun and interesting, and that maybe you'll give Google Earth a try this spring. So thanks for tuning in to Tech Talk Tuesday. We'll see you next time.